there are so many videos out there that tries to answer the question, how much money do you need to retire? Well, I've watched a lot of those videos, and the truth is, none of them actually give me a specific answer for my question. Specifically, how much money do I need to retire? Right? Well, today I'm going to give you, yes, you are watching, I'm going to give you guys the exact number that you guys need to retire. Right? Everyone is different, but I made a spreadsheet for that, and all you guys need to do is put in 5 numbers that is applicable only to you, and then you guys can pretty much know how much you guys would need to retire comfortably. So with that, let's go. Okay, now obviously, before I continue, I need to do some legal stuff, okay? I'm not a financial advisor. Okay? Anything I say or do cannot be held against me. I am not liable for anything. You guys are big boys and big girls now. Make your own decisions and invest wisely. Okay, so if you guys didn't know, the only way to retire is to have your investments or your other income streams replace your current income that is your job. So for example, let's say that there's a couple named, I don't know, Bill and Melinda. Bill and Melinda has 3 kids. The oldest is 15, and then it's 10, then it's an 8-year-old. Now, they have a combined income of $120,000, but they are very good with managing their money, so they only spend an average of $50,000 per year, which is very, very good. But when you really think about it, $120,000 a year before tax, after tax, that's probably around 80-ish. And the good thing is that currently they are 45 years old and they have $1 million, $1 million after tax money, $1 million after tax money that they have saved up. Their question is, can they retire and can they still expect to live the same comfortable lifestyle that they have with $50,000 every year? Well, before I go into the numbers, there are a few things that I want to touch on because most people miss these things. The first thing is that Bill and Melinda needs to be investing this $1 million. Now, they cannot be investing this $1 million in a house because a house is not liquidated. You cannot liquidate a house very easily. So it needs to be in some form of stocks, bonds, or some sort of investments. Now, and the best investment is pretty much the S&P 500. And that gets an average return of around 10.6% over the last 60 years. Now, 10.6% of $1 million is $106,000 a year, right? Which is a lot of money, but that's not the money that you get. Which brings me to point number 2, right? Taxes, right? Any money that you make in the stock market in any sort of investment is taxed. If you take it out within the year, it's taxed as capital gains tax. If you hold it for over a year, it's taxed at a lower rate, which is around 15 to 20%. So and that $106,000 immediately goes down to $90,000 if you hold it for more than a year. The third point is inflation. The average inflation in America is 2 to 3%, around 2.5%. So every year, on average, the cost of your lifestyle is going to increase around 2 to 3%. That means that your $50,000 a year lifestyle right now is going to cost around $100,000 a year in 30 years. Now, since we're talking about inflation, the fourth point is lifestyle inflation. People generally inflate their lifestyles when they make more money or when they get used to their current lifestyles and they want something more. One example of lifestyle inflation is that most guys can live off of $20,000 a year when they're single. But when they get married, even $100,000 a year doesn't seem to be enough. I don't know why. Okay, so with that, let's get started on the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so this is a spreadsheet here. You guys can get access to the spreadsheet with the links in the description below. And there is a free to edit and then there is a copy to edit. The free to edit, anyone can go in and edit it. The copy to edit is you need to make a copy of this file to actually edit it because there are so many people who go in and just mess up my files and it's not good. Okay, so if you guys look at this spreadsheet, you guys can see that you guys only need to fill out 5 things, okay? 5 numbers, 5 personal numbers that are specific to you to figure out how much retirement fund you need to retire comfortably. Okay, so now let's just use Bill and Melinda's situation and see where it takes us. So their retirement fund, currently they have $1 million. Streams of income, currently, let's just say that they have no other streams of income. Compound interest rates, the average S&P 500, let's just say that they put all their money into the S&P 500. Average S&P 500 for the past 60 years is 10.6%. However, when you put that money in, you do get taxed when you take it out, when you take out the growth of it. So the average tax is 15 to 20%. Let's just say it's 20%. So that 10% growth is actually around 8%. 8% compound interest growth, because this is after-tax money. That's all that matters. Now, inflation rate. The average inflation rate is around 2.5 to 3%. So let's just put in 3%. Yearly withdrawals, $50,000. Okay, so as you guys can see here, the total investment of $1 million. This is their total investment. As you guys can see, $1 million is not going to last you very long. Okay? It'll last you 15 years. And in 15 years from 45, they'll hit 60. What are they going to do? Run out of money? So they needed to put into the S&P 500. So the compound interest here, it does grow, so that's pretty good, But as you guys can see here, in around 42 years, they are back to their $1 million. And this is because the yearly expense is inflating with the inflation price. So after 40 years, the expense of $50,000 per year actually becomes $173,000 per year. That's a lot. That's a lot. So every year they have to spend $173,000. So eventually, the interest rate on the S&P cannot cover it. And in 42 years, they'll be 87, which chances are they'll still be alive. But also, this is assuming that they stick with their $50,000 budget. But if they do use more than what they anticipated, then they will probably run out a lot quicker. Now, 80-something. You might be asking, what about Social Security? Well, I'm glad you asked, or you didn't ask. Okay, so if you guys want to add in Social Security, you guys would add it right here in streams of income. However, before you do that, you need to change the retirement fund and the yearly withdrawals. So let's go back to the Bill and Melinda's case. Let's say that 20 years later, they're at the age of 65, and they have a total investment of $1.485,000. Living expenses, yearly living expenses of $90,000. So what you guys would do is you guys would put it right here. 1,485, 1,485, 1, 2, 3. Yearly withdrawals of $90,300. Now for the streams of income, let's say that 20 years later, they each get a Social Security of $3,000 per person because of, inflation. So $3,000 per person times 2 people, that means that they would get a combined income of $6,000 per month. Okay, this stream of income is per month, so make sure you are aware of that. With this estimate, every year they are gaining around $100,000 in interest, because of the Social Security here. So the chances of them running out of money is almost zero if they get around $6,000 of Social Security. However, this is assuming that they still have their $50,000 a year lifestyle. But realistically, their lifestyle will probably be around $110,000 a year because of lifestyle inflations. And just trips and like anything, emergencies or whatever. And healthcare. Healthcare goes up as you get older. So there's a lot of things to factor in. Now, I must say that the chance of Social Security still existing in the next 20 to 30 years is, I'd say it's around 50%. There's a chance that Social Security might not exist in 20 to 30 years because we might just run out of money. So, for me, if it was my investments and I was 45 years old with $1 million, I would just work for another 5-10 years. So, let me show you what that would look like. So if the yearly withdrawals was 0, that means that you are not retiring yet. You still have your current income. let's say that it's 0, okay, your $1 million would compound interest and be $1.5 million in the next 6 years. So you would make $500,000 from your investments in the next 6 years. And then you would have $1.5 million to invest. And yearly withdrawals, let's say that at that time you are living off of $60,000 a year. Even with $60,000 a year, you can still do very, very well. The longer you wait, and the more money you would have, and the less likely the chance of you running out of money. So if you are still very, very young, I would just save it in the S&P in some index fund, and then just let it ride. And then afterwards, just work till 55 or 60, and then retire slow. Now, and there is a specific way to use this spreadsheet, and that is to fill your numbers in from the bottom to the very top. So if you guys are just starting out, you guys would see that all of these are zeros. So you would fill out the bottom first, your yearly withdrawals, okay? Let's say that your average expense for the whole year is around $40,000. And then inflation rate, I'd say around 3%. 3% is a good estimate. Compound interest, for compound interest, obviously I always go with the S&P. I'd say 8%. 8% is a very safe and it's a very doable percentage rate. Additional streams of income, when you retire, just put in all the streams of income that you expect to get. So let's say that Social Security, you each get, I don't know, $1,200 per month. $1,200 times 2 for 2 people, that would be $2,400. Okay, so for the retirement fund, what you guys would put in here is that you would try to find a number that would make this compound interest column positive and growing. Right? It needs to be growing or else you're going to run out of money. So for me, what I would do is I would start off with 50 times this initial number. 50 times of $11,000 is, let's say, $500,000. $500,000. So you see that with these numbers in, you can see that it is growing. It's growing a little bit, but the important thing is that it doesn't die out. So you can use this money for pretty much your whole life, assuming that your yearly withdrawals is the same and assuming the streams of income is still the same. Now, what if you don't have $500,000 to retire from? So let's say that you have $250,000. Right? $250,000. So as you guys can see here, with $250,000, your money would only be able to grow for the next 8 years, which isn't bad, but that's not good either, because for retirement, you're going to be retired for more than 8 years. So the best way to increase it if you don't have a lot of money is to increase your streams of income. Let's say that you make an additional $600 a month, side jobs, the both of you guys combined. Right? So this would be $3,000 a month. And that means that your money here, okay, your money can grow so much more. Grow so much more to around 19, 20 years. A lot better. If you guys want more, then what if you make $1,000 a month? So $3,400. With $3,400, you can grow, you can live for another 40-ish years without worrying too much about money. Another 44 years from the age of 65, which is over 100 years old, which should be okay. Who knows? But yeah, play around with those numbers and find a number that you are comfortable enough to invest in your retirement fund, and find a number for your additional streams of income, whether it be Social Security or something else.